All right. So I mainly talk about mental health and self-improvement and the ability to kind of look inward, try to figure out who we are, right? Who am I? What is my purpose? What is my meaning? What brings me happiness? What are some obstacles in my life? How do I overcome them? All of those things. I think one of the best things that we can do is be understood. I think there's so much power in other people understanding us, how we think, our worldview. That's a big part of why I'm making these videos, because literally everything I talk about in these videos, I don't talk to other people about. You know, I talk to my wife and maybe a close friend or two, and that's basically it. I have a problem expressing myself, right? And I think a lot of people have that problem. And so today I want to talk about why I believe right now, it's November of 2024, is the best opportunity to start a YouTube channel pretty much ever. Okay? At least in the last 10 years. And in case you're like, who is this guy? I'll tell you who I am. I'm Taylor Gunn. I'm a video editor. I was the head of post-production for Mr. Beast. I've also worked with like Hans Zimmer. I have over 7 billion views on YouTube, and I like to joke with people that if we talk for long enough, I can guarantee you've seen something I've made online. I've made over 1,000 YouTube videos. I've been doing this for a very long time, which is ironic because there's no editing in these videos. So, you know, but I know a lot about YouTube. I know a lot about the past of YouTube, where it currently sits, and I think I have some pretty strong predictions as to where it's headed. And I'm telling you, right now is the best time to start a YouTube channel, okay? Even if all you have is a cell phone, now's the time to do it. And here's why. YouTube is showing small channels, okay? My channel has less than 500 subscribers, right? Small channels to people more often. It's showing it on the home screen and recommended and up next. It's giving smaller channels more of a chance now than ever before. All right, I don't think there's ever been an easier time to grow on YouTube other than the first like 2 to 3 years that it was out. Right now is the best time. Beyond that, the thing that it's called retention editing. It's this really fast, flashy stimulus way of editing. And you know, that's really an oversimplification, because when you get into the actual art and science of it, it's really complicated. But audiences appear at all ages to kind of be growing in a direction where they're not super into that anymore. This is what they want. They want real human connection, people saying real stuff about real topics that they really care about. And I think part of that is because of that retention style of editing being so prolific throughout YouTube, and YouTube pushing it so hard. And I think the other half of that is this format of just talking and really just expressing yourself became really viable through the rise of the podcast format. The podcast format growing, you know, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour videos of people just sitting down and talking. And, you know, there's something about listening to those and being a fly on the wall and being able to kind of just get an insight into other people and connecting with that is really, really unique. That didn't really exist pre podcast format. The closest thing was like not even reality TV, but like late night talk shows, but those are like so hokey and scripted, right? So it's like this idea of raw, real, vulnerable, authentic, genuine people is what made YouTube cool in the first place. It's what separated it from traditional media. And then we took a long road to, you know, it was the age of ideas and clickability and spectacle and production value. Everyone thought that they could throw money at cameras and editing tools and blow everybody out of the water, myself included. I thought that. I worked for a lot of people that thought that, and they were right for a long time. I don't think they're right anymore. I always tell people part of what I do as my job is consulting YouTubers, talking to them about certain types of content strategies. I train editors. And one of the things I always remind people is, it doesn't matter how much money you spend on a video. You're never going to be more entertaining than someone who spent 20 years in prison, wrongfully convicted or not, with a cell phone just telling their story. That person's always going to be more compelling than whatever bullshit you try to make to get people to click in your little retention hacks and watch till the end, but you're going to want to watch what's next. You're never going to be as compelling as that person telling a story, or of a single mom just walking you through her day-to-day life struggles. That's people want to connect now more than ever. And there's more reasons why I think now is the best time to start a YouTube channel. Part of that is also AI. I am of two minds when it comes to AI. I'm pretty bullish on it. I think that everybody has creativity inside them. I think everybody has the ability to be creative. And I think that AI kind of unlocks that. There's something so special about the first time you sit down with a text-to-image generator and you just type in a prompt and you get to see this thing crafted. And, it's easy for people to shit on that and tear it down and be like, you didn't make that. You're not a blah, 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 blah. But I think the people who have done it and had that feeling know that that's not totally true. You feel like you did something, and it feels personal and it feels cool. So I think AI unlocking this creative potential of people that might not have access to fucking art school or, a $12,000 computer for video editing or, music production or whatever it might be. I think it's a really cool thing. I also think, so that's me being optimistic and bullish on it. Okay, now let's talk about the other side, which is that grifters and people that are just in it to make a dollar are using one-click AI video generators to make absolutely slop content. It is full-on trash. It is brain rot. It's everywhere. It's prolific on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Pick your platform, it's there. The poison is there, and it's terrible. And I think what's coming, okay, is a flood, an absolute flood, an unimaginable flood of AI content. That is, it's like the uncanny valley effect, which is essentially if you take something that is so close to human-like but just slightly off, it feels really weird and disconcerting. It doesn't feel right. Something feels really off about it. That's the idea of uncanny valley in a nutshell. I think we get that through cinema because people have been watching movies and listening to music and watching YouTube videos for a really long time. And there's this cinematic language, there's a storytelling language and a pacing and tone, and there's a lot of things that go into it, right? And I think that when that's made by a person, that comes through. I think that when it's made by AI, it might look like it has a high production value. It might look really polished, but it feels off. It feels like it's just trying to get me to watch from moment to moment to make money off me. It doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel like it's trying to connect with me in any way. It has all the bells and whistles. It has a great paint job, but it doesn't. It feels like content. It doesn't feel like connection. And that we're getting ready to see a huge flood of that. And I think that that might be cool for maybe a few months, maybe a year, maybe a little bit longer. It's going to be pretty cool to see one-click documentaries on whatever. And as a researcher, as someone that wants to learn something, that might be cool, but not even because it's going to fall apart. Because no one's fact-checking anything, and no one's going to have an original angle on it, because, once the same 10 angles are made by hundreds of thousands of grifters online, it's going to be like there's nothing new. There's nothing interesting about that. And so I think that even from like a research education perspective, it's going to get really boring really fast. And I think this right here, the thing that originally made YouTube cool, is coming back, which is instead of idea-driven content and spectacle-driven content, we're getting personality-driven content, connection, authenticity, right? Which is important because if you follow me on Twitter or anything like that, you know that I complain a lot about how the age of spectacle on YouTube is not good. It's not good for the ecosystem of social media content. It's not good for creators, and it's not good for audiences, especially younger audiences. You feel empty after you watch a lot of that stuff. You don't feel like you're walking away with anything. And I think the real power of cinema, and telling and storytelling and just the medium of video in general is to make people not feel alone, make them feel connected to a larger thing, a universal thing. And film has a great way of doing that. But if we're ignoring the zeitgeist and the culture and everything going on completely, and we're just making slop AI generated content, that's never film video used to its fullest potential. The maximization of video is this. It's really this. It's really just trying to talk and build a community and talk about stuff that maybe some other people don't want to talk about. A lot of people don't want to talk about mental health. A lot of men don't want to talk about mental health. A lot of men feel like they can't talk about mental health. I think it is getting better, but I want to see it get a lot better, not just with men, but with women also, and not just with younger audiences that feel like they're really going through it, but older audiences too. I think especially people from an older generation, they feel like they're locked into this like stoic, I can't talk about my feelings type thing. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's healthy. And I think that not only me talking to you guys makes me feel understood and better, but seeing some of the comments that I've gotten and seeing people connect with it and tell me their stories, I think that is like, for me, that feels like meaning. That feels so meaningful. And I just want to continue to do that. And you can do it too. I think everyone should do it. I think everybody should have a YouTube channel where they just set up a little camera, set up their phone, and they're just talking about how they see the world and their journey to get to where they're at and where they want to go and how they're going to get there and the daily struggles of the human condition. If we could just all get on a mic and a camera and talk about that and build communities around that and have a conversation, I think that's the world I want to live in. I think that's a really, really cool place. So I think that this right here, this format of just kind of talking and sharing, I think it's the antidote to the poison that is going to be the flood of AI content. And I want to kind of talk to you where I think this is all going long term. Because, well, actually, let's go back a little bit, because I think there's other reasons why right now is the best time to start a YouTube channel, which is this. YouTube is also rewarding a little bit longer form videos. There was a long period of time where like the 8 to 12 minute mark was like the king of where you needed to be, and it had to do with a lot of things. On the advertiser end, it was how they could filter videos they wanted to advertise on. It was easy for the algorithm to kind of zero in on videos that were 8 to 12 minutes and know exactly where that auto placement of an ad should be. There's a lot of things behind it. It was also some of the top creators were creating around that time, so the algorithm got a little bit skewed towards, well, people are preferring those videos, and it's like, well, no. They're not preferring those videos, just the people that are most popular on the platform, that's what they're creating, so it kind of biased the data a little bit. Another reason why the podcast format kind of broke a lot of myths, right? But what's happening now is that the 25-minute to an hour mark is being preferred, right? Rather than 10-minute videos, now it's 20+ minute videos, which is great, because I think, for me at least, that's how long it takes to really get a thought out. This is why I'm terrible at expressing myself. Someone asks me my opinion about something. It's like I gotta explain it, and then I gotta explain this other thing historically to give it context, and I gotta connect the dots for them, and I gotta, it feels like I'm spending a lot of time to answer what should be a simple question. But, if anybody has difficulty expressing themselves, I'm sure you understand that. But there's another reason also why I believe right now is the best time to start a YouTube channel. And it goes back to what this channel is all about. It's not just mental health. It's not just self-expression. It's not just building a community. It's that I think everybody has a thing that makes them feel unique and special, and it's core to who they are. And I think YouTube is so big now that it doesn't matter what the thing is. You can use your phone to just put out little 15, 20-minute videos, and people will find it. And people will be like, I'm also into that. I'm also super into that. And if you are like a carpenter or people who do like woodworking, and you just like build like little epoxy things, that might, you're kind of isolated, in your little shop doing that. People that do crafts, you're kind of just isolated on your couch doing that. There's something really special about getting on a camera and sharing this thing that you're really passionate about and interested in. I think that's super healthy. And I think right now more than ever with the internet, we have access to so much knowledge, right? But I think this right here is how we start getting a little bit more wisdom, right? A little bit more wisdom, because nobody wants to live in a sea of knowledge without a drop of wisdom. That's a world where everybody thinks they're right about everything all the time, and it's not a good place to be. But wisdom is important, because it's how we understand each other. And that's what I'm saying right now. Right now, it's not just a dollar grab. It's not just a money grab on YouTube. Advertisers are just as strong as they've ever been. YouTube is kind of calming their attitude when it comes to swearing in videos, which is a huge part of why I never made a channel like this before, because I said, what's the point, right? I'm gonna swear in a video, and they're gonna take it down, or they're gonna shadow ban it or block it, because I use foul language. It's just part of who I am, and it felt really stifling and restrictive. And I think YouTube has recognized that that's not, we're adults, people swear, and profanity should be allowed on the platform. And they've come out and said, as long as you don't do it in the first 30 seconds or blah, 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 as long as it's not excessive, then it's okay. And so YouTube is making, in my opinion, incredible strides to make everyone feel accepted on this platform, to make them feel like they have a chance to succeed, and making it feel like some of the old barriers that were in place, a lot of the preferential treatment that a lot of the really, really big YouTubers got, it's just not like that anymore, to the degree that it was. And so part of what I want to say to you, I want to talk about the future of YouTube and why I think now is the perfect time to set yourself up for the future. But I just want to say real quick, I think you should do it. I think you should just do it. And if even you get 0 views on the first 10 videos, realize there's still a therapy in it. There's still a catharsis in it. There's something that you can really pat yourself on the back about and feel like a job well done. You committed to this idea, you pressed record on a camera, you got on, you said your piece, you uploaded it, and you pressed publish. Even if nobody watches it, that is incredible. That is so cool, dude. No matter what age you are. And I really think you should consider doing it. Now let's talk about the long game. The fact of the matter is, a lot of my pessimism from AI comes from job replacements. I think if you look at the analysis, if you look at the data, the statistics are pretty clear that there's a lot of people about to get put out of work. Now, I don't know what the end result of that is. I don't know if we're going to have to move to some universal basic income type thing because there's just not jobs available. And also, you can imagine that if the means of production were all automated, then companies would be making a lot more money. They get taxed more. There's more money for a UBI. It becomes this like self-fulfilling prophecy kind of. But whether you look at Hollywood, TV, Netflix, streaming platforms, or a lot of the brain rot content on social media, I think probably what the most available occupation in the future is going to be is literally this. I think this is probably going to be the majority of people. Is a personality-based program where you're sitting down, you're talking to people, doesn't matter what your age is, doesn't matter what your niche is, could be mental health, could be fitness, could be, you name it, right? Could be art, could be just a let's chat, could be you have a really cool life and you're just talking about it, could be you have a not so cool life and you want to tell that journey too, you want to let people into that struggle and kind of join you on it, and that's great. I think this right here is the job of the future. I'm saying that as someone who has spent a lot of time in this industry. This has always been a viable occupation. I just think it's slowly becoming one of the only viable occupations over the next 10, 20 years. Because the one thing there was this great thing that it was like an analysis of like jobs leaving because of AI, and they really think that one of the last jobs to go, right? It's not doctors. AI is already smoking doctors when it comes to x-ray analysis and diagnosis. Anyway, it's nurses. Nurses will probably be one of the last jobs to go because regardless of how efficient the medical industry is, it's still going to need that human element of empathy and understanding and connection. Nurses will probably be one of the last jobs to go, but doctors, they are already on their way out, right? And I think that speaks volumes about what jobs to think about in the future sticking around. It's no surprise that there's a loneliness epidemic. There's no surprise that we've never been more connected, but we feel disconnected. These are all things people are going through. And I think this gets shit on a lot. The idea of someone on a camera connecting with an audience on the other side and the audience connecting with them. People like to kind of disregard that and say that's not real. That's not real human connection. And it's not as good as like going outside and hanging out with friends at a park and throwing a ball around. That's true. But as populations grow, as media all starts kind of interbleeding into the same who gives a shit kind of Marvel movie blockbuster, okay, people's desire for entertainment is probably going to be this. I think Twitch has shown us that. I think TikTok Lives has shown us that. I think that it's undeniable now that it is really cool to just kind of log in, see what people are saying, that you trust. And that's a really, really important point, actually. That might be like probably the most important point of this video, which is in the age of AI, you're living in the age of bullshit. You're living in an age of deception. News and everything is flooded, and there's AI deep fakes and, blah, 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 blah. You don't really know what to trust or who to trust. And I think that's actually a huge fueling point to this, to going back to this, is you need to find people that you trust. You trust are real human beings, for number one. For number two, if I get a sponsor for this and I'm like, try Factor meals, You don't have to, you trust me, so you don't have to worry if, if I'm just trying to scam you out of money, or if factor meals are good. They're okay, by the way. They're not great. They're okay. They're okay for about a month and a half. And then you're like, okay, I'm done. But there's an ecosystem there of business as well, where consumers don't, who gets sold anymore by TV ads, by 30 to 60 second TV ads? Very few people have TV in the younger generations, like cable TV, so they're not even seeing those commercials. And then the ads that are on YouTube, you got pop-up blockers, you got premium, you got a lot of ways to like avoid even seeing those ads. Never mind that you can just skip them. And that's why influencer marketing, so many brands and sponsors reach out to influencers, so that way influencers can leverage that trust to their audience, right? And I think that idea right now is in its infancy, because right now it's just influencers leveraging their audience to sell them products. But in the age of deception, in the age of AI, that trust, that connection that a person has that you trust won't steer you wrong. If they recommend something, they really believe in it, right? That's going to be probably the most valuable thing in the future, right? That's probably going to be the most valuable form of advertising in the future. The idea of $30 million Super Bowl commercials are probably going out the door. Why would you do that when the conversion rate is better to just find one person doing this that has a large audience that's like, hey guys, this brand keeps reaching out to me. I tried the product for a while to make sure that I could recommend it. And, here's a short montage of me trying it out. I really enjoyed it. If you got the time, if you got the cash, try it out yourself. That's going to be infinitely more value than the methodology of being that song on the radio that you hear 1,000 times and you hate it. But the 1,001st time, you're like, it's kind of catchy. And then 100 times later, you're like, I kind of like it, right? That's like basic advertising for the last 20 years. Is just cram it down their throat until the lie we tell becomes the truth, right? And I think that this is going to be a very self-sustaining occupation in the future. I think all roads lead to this. I think this is fantastic. All even to the point where the camera in your phone is improving. The audio in your phone is constantly improving year over year. You don't need where is it? It's behind me, right? You don't need a $5,000 camera to shoot a thing anymore. The one in your pocket's just as good, So what's holding you back? What's stopping you from just doing it? What people might say about you? Just don't. I'm a big believer in what I'm about to say, which is if you're going to try something new and you're a little freaked out by it, just don't tell anybody. Just do it. Do it. You don't have to tell your family and your friends that, I'm going to try YouTube. You don't have to give people your channel leak. Just put it out there and see what other people say, right? I think it's really, really important. I think it's really important that people get on here and express themselves. I think it's a really viable occupation, has been for a long time. I only think it's going to get more viable, if not one of the last bastions of truth. So if you have been questioning whether or not you should start a YouTube channel, I am one of the foremost leading in the world YouTube experts. Okay? Google me. I'm telling you that right now is the best time that I have seen in the last 10 years to start a YouTube channel. And I think that window is going to be open for probably a year or two. Get on. Just do it. Don't be afraid what other people are going to say. You probably have a camera. You probably have a phone. Just make some videos. Think about what you would want to talk about, what makes you uniquely you, and then just do it. And don't worry about thumbnails. Don't worry about SEO and titles and all that stuff. All that stuff will come later. Make 50 videos before you care about that stuff, right? and believe you can do it. Believe that people will care what you have to say, because humans are special in that they genuinely care what other people have to say. Even if that thing that the other person's saying you totally disagree with, right? We still care about each other. So, I care about you. I hope this video inspired you to get out there and go make a YouTube channel and just do it. Just do it. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. I appreciate you. Peace.